Hello and welcome back to another episode of LMScast. My name is Chris Badgett and I'm joined with a special guest, Ali Mathis from the LifterLMS team. How you doing, Ali?
Good, Chris. How you doing today?
Doing good. Well, we're going to turn the tables and I'm not going to be the interviewer today. I'm going to be interviewed by Ali about our new product, Private Areas. So ask me
Yeah,
anything, Ali. What?
I'm pretty excited. So can you start by telling us a little bit about private areas, Chris? What is it? Who's it for? And how did the team get the idea to build private areas?
Great question. Private areas really is something that emerged out of our community, our customers, the people using the LifterLMS software. And specifically, somebody named Chris Lemma was talking about the need for coaches specifically to have a private page per student per course. So it's kind of like personal content in addition to the lessons and the course that kind of everybody goes through in mass. So this was a really interesting concept. Chris had been talking about it for a while, and we floated the idea by our Facebook group. If you haven't joined that, just go to Facebook groups and do a search for LifterLMS VIP, and you'll find it. But and people were really interested. They were really interested in the idea of offering coaching in addition to courses. Either that's how the program was structured, or it was like an upsell where you could, let's say, for example, have $100 course, but then have a $1,000 course plus personalized coaching offer from the same website. And people just got really interested in the idea, and lots of people said they wanted it. So we created it. We rolled it out, and if you're listening to this, it's already live. You can go check it out on LifterLMS.com. It's also an advanced add-on and therefore included in the Infinity Bundle. But yeah, that's what it is. It's basically the ability to create private posts per student per course, and it also works with LifterLMS memberships, where you can create a private post or a series of posts for each member in a membership. And it's also one of the really neat things we kind of snuck in there. Another feature that you can do is you can actually build an automation or series of posts in advance and have those trickle out based on when somebody enrolls in a course. And to better describe that, let's say you offer a course plus coaching, but you know that your private posts, you've developed like a system and a routine you run through with your clients. So you create those private posts as, in advance. This one rolls out on week 1. This one rolls out on week 2. This one rolls out on week 3. It can be personalized, with the person's name in it and stuff like that. But it's kind of a automated sequence that you go through as a coach and mentor or teacher every time with each individual student. But I can get into more details of like how to use private posts too.
Yeah, before we go into more details about that, just from a big picture level, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, or ask you a little bit about why somebody would want to use private areas instead of, say, just sending an email with information or an email with an assignment. What's the benefit to private areas in that respect?
So one of the most precious resources in today's world is focus and attention. If you do your private coaching outside of your platform, whether that's in Facebook or email, there's an opportunity for attention to get distracted. So it's really important. If you are doing a coaching program, there's nothing wrong with sending personalized emails to your customers, but why not bring them back to your site instead of their inbox to receive that private content? So it's more of an integrated platform solution as opposed to, stringing together different apps to make it happen. There is a time and a place, like as a coach or consultant, for using other tools, like let's say something like Zoom, to record a private coaching session that's part of your offer. But you can then record those videos and then perhaps put that replay video inside somebody's private area. And then that that's something that they can come back to over and over again, and it doesn't get lost in just the email inbox and gets deleted. It can stay there, and there can also be further, deeper private conversations below that private post so that it's not just a static piece of content, it's also a conversation.
So just again, from a sort of big picture level, to me, it seems like adding private areas to your courses as a coach opens up an opportunity to have different tiered pricing and like maybe a bigger revenue stream, essentially charging more for courses that offer private areas. Is that kind of what you envision in terms of a business model for coaches and teachers that are using private areas?
Absolutely. And there's no question that if you give somebody personalized attention, because not all human beings are exactly the same. Some people get stuck in different places or have different challenges or have different starting points. So think about it. If you were to publish a book, or think about some of your favorite books, what if that book author was also creating private content just for you and your unique situation? It's super valuable. And that's why if you add private coaching to your education products, it does require more of your time, but it becomes a lot more valuable, especially in the service of the results that you promise, to have that, that private individualized learning opportunity.
Cool. So let's get into a little bit more of like the nitty-gritty details here about how you can use private areas. You've written a couple of really great blog posts about it, and you sort of touched on the first one already, which is reposting a link to a recorded training call. Is there anything more you wanted to say about that one?
I would just say that's a pretty easy one to add. Like if you are doing like your course, I'm not necessarily a big fan of lifetime access, especially for coaches, because in the quote real world, a lot of our best learning experiences and coaching opportunities are not lifelong partnerships like marriages or family bonds or something like that. Some of the coaching that happens in life and learning experiences that happen in life go over a specific period of time with a specific group of people at a specific stage in their life, business, relationship, whatever. So if I were to offer a course, that's promising some kind of fitness result, like we like to use the example of helping somebody learn how to run their first marathon. It's really like a 4-month program. Yeah, I might give you lifetime access, but the training is really the 4-month training program, including private coaching. And I could publish those videos, like my private coaching calls, to see how the training runs are going, see if we got any injuries we need to deal with and things of that nature. But it's really for a specific period of time, like just leading up to that very first marathon race for that person.
Gotcha. Cool. Let's talk about some of the other things other examples you've touched upon in some of your blog posts. One that you've talked about a lot is publishing a personalized action plan for your students. Can you dive a little bit deeper into that one and give me some examples, like real world examples of how that would work with private areas?
Yeah, an action plan is one of my favorite. Personalized action plans are one of my favorite ways and least scary ways to add some kind of personalized coaching or element to your course. And the reason it's not scary is coaching you kind of think like, oh, I'm going to be on the hook for monthly, weekly calls forever for a specific period of time. Whereas an action plan is really specific. It might be, I have a course on how to, let's say it's a business training course on how to grow your business from the 6-figure to 7-figure mark. And my course is great, has lots of great content, information, and ideas in it, exercises that you're supposed to do and steps you're supposed to take. But I know not all 6-figure businesses are exactly the same and have exactly the same challenges or starting point. If you're at $100,000 a year or $500,000 a year, you're kind of the course may be relevant, but your starting point is a little bit different, and the strategy to get to the 7-figure mark might be completely different. So if my course is great, I do some kind of needs assessment where they fill out a form and I get some key metrics as a teacher that helps me understand where they're at and what their blocks are. Then I can develop a personalized action plan for that specific customer that takes into account some of the nuances of their exact situation. That's how I would use private areas in that case. And let's say that's all that's offered. It's the course plus a personalized action plan. And you see this sometimes in like in the fitness industry, like someone will create a custom workout plan or a custom diet plan in addition to just the general training.
So with private areas, is it all or nothing? For example, do you have to have, if you have one course, can you offer private areas to some students and not others? Or
yes.
Is it, okay.
Yeah, it's you could all your courses could also include private areas if you structure your learning opportunity that way, or some courses could offer that and others would not, or memberships. And I would say the most common way I see people starting to use it is they have a course that's more passive in nature, but then the course plus coaching, which is powered by private areas, is an upsell, and it costs a lot more than the course. I see the course, I like to describe it as a do-it-yourself more kind of learning experience, where the course plus coaching is more of a done-with-you learning experience.
So certain students could choose sort of like the upsell, and certain students could keep the base package if they wanted.
Yeah, it could be a question of budget and what people could afford, or just what's the best fit for that person at that time. Is maybe the course by itself is enough, or maybe they really need the individualized attention.
Okay, and so another example we've talked about in the past is publishing a form to collect information or assignments from your students. And my questions to you about that are how is that different than just sort of doing that in the general course without private areas using gravity forms?
You could put a form in your lesson content like in a regular course. But the place where it gets interesting with private areas is that it's not just the private post, which could be content. It can be videos, images, text, audios, forms. It can be all kind of downloads. It can be all kinds of things. But it's also, the private area is also the conversation below that piece of content. So if you have a form in a private area where the student is submitting very personal, sensitive, private business information, first of all, they're going to feel much more comfortable knowing it's in their private area. And then second of all, once you receive that information, it just makes sense to follow up either directly below that form with a conversation with the student about the data points they just submitted to the form, or the uploads or the photographs or whatever, and then or create a new private post that's kind of like a next step in the process. But in a lot of learning situations in life, business, and relationships, privacy is like critical for some sensitive matters. So it's all part of that. It's that privacy element, and it's also the conversation below the content.
Can you give some specific examples of the kinds of information somebody might want to collect in a form?
Yeah, like in the business world, it might be like revenue metrics, team size, marketing strategies currently being used. It could be like cash flow economics or profitability metrics. In the fitness industry, it might be things about weight, calories, nutrition, exercise numbers, those kinds of things. In relationships, it could be something really personal, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your marriage? And those kinds of like, how many times a month do you do something with your spouse that's just the two of you? And these kinds of things. So if you have a relationship course, you need to know where you need to assess like where your people are at. And some people, there's always a spectrum. It's not black and white. you may have like a customer avatar, it's called, like your ideal prospect or student that's a good fit for your course. But what the reality is what happens is you may think about that one person as you create content and stuff like that, but you're actually going to attract a spectrum of people that are not necessarily all the same.
Right. That makes sense. So this one is my favorite, which is the private areas really allows you to publish like personalized messages encouraging your students. But what I wanted to talk to you about are some of the challenges around, making sure students finish their course, because that's the teachers and the coach's ultimate goal, and how private areas can maybe like help improve that sort of course completion conversion ratio.
Yeah, that's a great one. One of the things that makes a learning management system kind of a higher level than a traditional online course or membership site, and LifterLMS can handle all scenarios, online courses, membership sites, and the needs of a learning management system.
Mm-hmm.
But one of those LMS pieces is reporting. So people who have a LifterLMS site can look at the reporting. They can even set up notifications that go out to the teacher or the coach. If somebody passes or fails a certain quiz, you can just go in there and look at the reporting and see if somebody like stalled out. You can look at the group of people in a particular course or people who joined on a certain date or whatever, and you can look at their completion rate. And what happens in the online education industry, especially since it can be so anonymous, which private areas is a big kind of counterintuitive way to attack that problem, is not very anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how people are doing and you can reach out to them and you can connect with them. And I like to think of it this way: if somebody's doing really good or really bad, by creating a private post for them, it's almost like giving them a personal card, but it's a digital format. So it could be like, amazing job on lesson 5, or seems like, or like, is there anything I can do to help? Could be a private post that goes out if you notice somebody stalled out, at lesson 3 and appears to not being engaging anymore. And they're going to get an email notification about that. Mm-hmm. So it puts the responsibility. It's of course up to the student. Sometimes the teacher will like just shed all that responsibility. Like, look, my course is amazing. It's up to them. They just have to do the work. Right. But I believe in shared responsibility. I believe that it's also the teacher's responsibility not only to make a great course, but also if things aren't working out for their students that are especially buying the program, it's up to them to improve it. And maybe that involves a little human interaction, some private posts to like help nurture and when things aren't going well, and celebrate successes when they are going well.
Yeah. So if I'm a current LifterLMS customer, what do I do if I want to try out or, purchase private areas? And is it compatible with all versions of Lifter? Like where would you tell people to start if they are, love what they hear and aren't sure what to do next?
Yeah, if this sounds interesting, if you think coaching and mentoring and potentially adding that business model spike that you can do in terms of revenue based on offering coaching in addition to courses, if this sounds interesting to you, I would encourage you to head on over to LifterLMS.com and check out private areas in the store. It is an advanced add-on. It can be purchased by itself. You do need to have, I believe it's 13 or LifterLMS 3.11. You'll need to be at least at that version to use private areas. So you can just update LifterLMS, the core software itself, and then grab private areas. What a lot of people do is they actually get private areas as part of the Infinity bundle, which includes all the products made by LifterLMS, all the design tools and third-party integrations in the Universe bundle, and also the advanced add-ons that are in the Infinity bundle and continuing to be added as time goes on there.
But just from a little bit more of a technical level, so say I'm a Lifter customer and I purchase private areas and I upload the plugin, then what happens? Does it just appear? Do I have to activate it? What are my next steps to use it?
All you have to do is upload it just like a regular plugin, activate it, and then you're going to get a new little menu item in your WordPress area called Private Posts.
Gotcha.
And it's from there you can start creating them. And then I would encourage people, if you want to get into the automation thing and setting up a series of private posts that roll out automatically, you can do that. But maybe just start with take your course and add a second access plan that includes coaching and give it a higher price, whatever makes sense to you. And then when people buy through that access plan, you can start creating private posts for them or whatever you kind of promise in your coaching offer.
And if you get stuck when you're uploading private areas, I mean, I know this is like a softball question, but I'm assuming you can just contact support.
Absolutely.
Your team will help you out.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you haven't used Lifter yet, it does a lot of different things, and the team is here for you. You can just log into your account on LifterLMS.com, and if you have any questions or get stuck in any way, the team is standing by to help. And
cool.
there's a whole support system ready for that. And that's just part of what we do. We know that learning new software takes time. Sometimes you don't know where everything is and you have questions, and we're here for the community.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Chris. Thanks for answering all my questions.
Yeah, thanks for putting me in the hot seat, Ali. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
I like it. We should do it again.
Yeah, we should do it. And thanks so much for doing this. And for those of you out there listening, go check out Private Areas at LifterLMS.com. And thanks so much, Ali.
Yeah, I'll see you, Chris. Thanks.